dog. Oh, Gatekeeper here. Here we got a port style candy painted 6-pill with all Toshiba's Jap soldiers. All non-dot Toshibas. This is one of 3 candy painted amplifiers that a buddy of mine out in the New York area. I believe it's New York, ain't it? Or is it Jersey? I think it's New York. You can slap me if I'm wrong, man. This is one of 3 of candy paint amplifiers that my buddy got from me. Purchased. Ordered. Whatever you want to say. And it turned out good, man. I'll be honest with you. I had a little bit of trouble at first getting this thing to balance out. And see, this was the port combiner that I had in there. Okay. And I was having some serious issues getting it balanced out. And I'm like, what is going on here? Well, come to find out, thanks to my trusty LCR meter, where I purchased that specific ferrite from, there was some mixed ferrite in there. And what it was this left port right here. I am having a celebration stove, and I am ventilated out here in the garage. The left port is reading about 6 or 7 microhenry different, and that is a big amount when you're dealing with RF, this type of RF. So I just had to make a new port combiner, and everything balanced out just fine. But it did take me a second to figure out what was causing that. I had to get in here and literally hook up each 2-pill section up separately, because this is a all metal-clad build. He did request all metal-clad capacitors. As you can see, metal-clad 120s. Metal-clad 330s on the input transformers. Metal-clad 1000s on the output. Metal-clad on the input tuning. And of course we can't use metal-clad on the output tuning because there's too much voltage. So we got to go to a bigger output tuning capacitor, which we went with a doorknob on this one. I just so happen to have a doorknob that fit the criteria of the tune. So this is an all metal-clad 6 transistor amplifier. Now, like I always try to say in each video I do, the metal-clads is not voodoo. It's not magic. It's just that metal-clad capacitors can stay stable at a little bit higher heat than a silver dip mica. They're both the same capacitor, they're just encased differently. Metal-clads are encased with metal, which they can cool off quicker. Okay, and they can also heat up a little quicker too, but they can handle a little higher heat and stay stable. And that's going to be good when you're on them long keys and things start heating up on you. Instead of capacitors changing a little bit of value on you, you got a better chance of them staying their value and that amplifier staying good and stable while things are heating up. And also it gives a little bit better chance of longevity, because capacitors, when they heat up, cool down, they change value over a period of time, and metals have a bit of a better chance of staying their capacitance at a longer time. So it's more of a longevity type deal, possible more stability under heat. You understand? So that's what the all metal clad deal. And if you take a look at other amplifiers up in the commercial world, up in the VHF, UHF world, all they use is metals. All they use is metal clad capacitors. And there's reasons for that, and I just explained partially one of the reasons why they use those up there. So anyway, I had to order your LEDs right here because I thought I had two purple, well, ultraviolet as they would say, LEDs. Am I saying that right? I think it's ultraviolet. You know, look at UV, that's right. Anyway, that's all a color scheme, of course. We can make these boxes look as pretty as we want to with the Candy Grape Jelly. We call this the Grape Jelly. Mr. O73 invented or put that name together. The first Grape Jelly box we did was a 3-pill for him. Back about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. There's your back of the box right there. So this is a Gatekeeper built 6 transistor Grape Jelly, Candy Painted Grape Jelly Purple Amplifier. Let's just put it that way. So I didn't have no 3mm LEDs, so I used 3mm LEDs. A lot of people may not know that. I think I'm the only guy out there that does. Most everybody else uses 5mm. And the reason why I use 3mm LEDs is it actually makes it a little easier on me. Because the way that I install them here, which this is the first box in a long time that I actually had to solder a ground wire up to the LEDs. Because usually, I don't even know if I've ever shown this in any of my videos, I got these little lugs here that I attach to the LED holder, which is on there very tight up against the side of the case, which gives me the ground for the LED, so I don't have to run wire from here to the board. But the reason why I did on this one is because the inside and outside of this box is painted. House of Color candy paint. So I tried to, my buddy did not want any etched parts of the board, of the box, as you can see. I etched these SO239s, but I did it very precise so there's no scratching around it. He just wanted his box done that way. That's his preference, and that's what I'm here to do, is fulfill preferences. But it just still wasn't hitting the box good enough to make a ground, so I just had to run a ground wire up through here to ground the LEDs. And I haven't had to do that in a long time, but it's just because it's painted on the inside, and I couldn't make a good enough connection because I did not want to scratch away. But anyway, off with the small stuff. Let's see what this bad boy's doing when it comes to the numbers. And I do apologize about this solder spot on the board. That was all into hooking these 2 transistor sections up individually. I just did not have anywhere else I could solder my leads to test each section individually. I'm sure you won't mind, bud. So you just got one solder spot. Really, it's just carrying on from the ground right here of the choke right here, but I cleaned it up and sucked the solder off there for you, so that's just the only spot that's like that. So other than that, man, this thing's ready to rock and roll. Hey, man, that goes to show you, man, every build does not go together working right off the line. I mean, yeah, the last 3/6 builds that was done worked flawlessly. Here's the 4th one. Or, you know, the 4th one from flawless. I think the one before the 4th one ago did have some issues. That was back freaking 4 years ago, I think. So everything don't always work right after you build it. Sometimes you got to do a little bit of tweaking. Sometimes you got to figure out where you made a mistake at. I mean, that's just what this is all about. You know what I'm saying? No one's perfect. No one's perfect. Most of the time after a build is put together, after I put a build together, everything is all cool beans and love, peace, and chicken grease. But sometimes sometimes it ain't working the way it's supposed to, and you got to get in there and figure out why, and you might learn something new. And hey, I did learn something a little new, so I gained something from this build. So I learned that whenever I make my ports in the future, I need to test each individual bead and make sure they're all super close to inductance and not just trust the manufacturer that I get it from. Alright, so we got the one pill, epoxy one pill hooked up. We're just going to start off with that. We will hook up the old 2-pill driver and burp it once here in a little bit. Alright, I've got this hooked up to a different supply than I normally hook up to. My 200 amp supply over there in the OX Force 2x8. I'm actually working on that box over there. So I've got this hooked up to this supply over here, which I can't show it because it's always dark down there. See if I can't turn my headlamp on. There it is, that supply. And that right there actually is a 12 volt unregulated supply. It is actually 12 volts. So this is going to be running on a little bit lower voltage than the last videos I did with a 6-pill, the last 2 or 3 6-pills. So the numbers might be a little bit lower on the RMS side, peak side, but it's all good. We got the voltmeter for that supply right here. Okay, we'll go ahead and kick that supply on. All right, we're floating at 19 volts. Alrighty. Alright, so we're going to be using the 1-pill driver, like I said, which we are going to be putting pretty much, we're going to use the 4-watt radio first. So we're just going to be putting, turn that soldered iron off right there. We're going to be putting right there about 30 to 40 RMS into it and about 100 peak watts. So that's what we're going to be driving into it at first, okay? We're going to be using the 2500 watt slug this time, so I don't have to switch slugs back and forth from peak to RMS. So we're using the 2500 watt slug. Okay. The driver is on 14.4 volts as I normally have it on. Alrighty. Alright. Giga ultraviolet purple. Alrighty, here we go. Go ahead and do this so I'm going to take me a nap and relax. I've been out here all day. Alrighty, we're on the 2500 watt slug, so we are looking at the top scale. The 5 is 500, the 10 is 1000, and it goes up like that. And we are on the RMS. Alright, this is just the 1-pill driver, bench radio, 4 watts RMS going into the 1-pill driver. The epoxy 1-pill, first box I ever constructed. Alrighty, almost 500 bird, but I say it's doing about 450, 460 RMS. Alright, we'll check the peak out real quick. Right there, about 1200 to 1250 watts PEP. That's right there on the money with the drive we're giving it. Alrighty. I know I didn't show it, but that's dropping to 15.5. We're not putting a strong load on the supply over here yet. It's going to drop a little bit more. Alright. From here, I am going to hook up the hot radio to the driver. So we're going to drive the 1-pill just a little bit more, which is going to give a little bit more drive to the 6. So we were putting about 20, 30 watts or so RMS. Now we're probably going to be putting about 40 or 50. That's what it normally does. The peak really doesn't increase much with that. The difference of peak watts from my bench radio to my hot radio really is not a lot. It's more of the RMS that's increasing between the two, which means there's more audio being driven in the circuit and the radio. Alright, so we got the hot radio hooked up now. I'm going to turn the bench radio off. Just kind of doing all this to keep myself straight. Alrighty, let's get right over. As you see, I'm having to jump over this light right here, man, because this light is broken on me and will not stay up. And it's getting on my nerves. And I am going to have to remove this thing because it's getting on my nerves. Alright. Alright, so we got the hot radio. Stickman modified 29. We're putting 8 watts RMS into the 1-pill driver. Alright. Stay focused. Load. Alrighty. So we're already hitting right there about 600 bird. Load. Beautiful. Oh, look at that. It's all in the tone of your voice. See that right there? Almost hit. Well, that did hit 700. Not 700 bird. Alright. Let me see what that was dropping to, by the way. I can't hardly see the volt meter. Well, I can see it, but it's hard to see it on the camera. Oh, that's about 15.8 actually, so it's not dropping too low. I must have been looking at it wrong with the bench radio. It must have been a little higher actually. Let me see that again. Oh, yeah. It's probably a little bit higher actually with the bench radio. So it's only about 15.8, so we're still not putting a real strong load on the supply, but we will here in a second. Because that is a 200 amp supply, and actually this supply that I'm using this 6-pill on is actually a supply for this 16-pill right here. Can you believe that? Yes, I do say that that supply down there needs to be a little bit bigger for this 16, but this right here is a project that's going to be on down the road. Alrighty, I could hook up the old D-rail radio now into the 1-pill, but I'm just going to go ahead and go on to the old 2-pill driver. Let's just go ahead and go check out the 2-pill driver. So give me 1 second, I got to hook it up and all that. So let me press pause and I'll be right back. Alright, bud. Well, I just figured out I am having some problems with my 2-pill driver. I don't know what's going on with it. The key and transistor, I think, gave out in it. So what I've done to kind of simulate the 2-pill driver somewhat is I'm just going to use the D-rail radio and drive that into the 1-pill driver. And also, I'm having to hold it on my knee here. I got so many wires right here. I'm having to hold it on my knee here to have it hooked up to this supply over here, because I don't know honestly what's wrong, if it's the 2-pill driver or my jumper, my power jumper over here. It's one of the two, so I just got it plugged in real short right here. Excuse me. Alright, so we probably ain't gonna see this thing do no 800 bird or nothing, but hey, I'm happy seeing it do 600. To be honest with you, 100 per transistor, that's rocking and rolling for me. Alright, so we're just gonna still hit it with the 1-pill driver, but we're gonna hit it with the D-rail radio, so it's gonna drive the piss out that 1-pill driver. Alrighty. 2500 watt slug still, we are in RMS. Okay. Come on now, focus. This video's not turning out as good as I wanted it to, but hey, it's all freestyle over here, y'all. Focus. I'm sorry about this. I need to get me a dang professional camera. Get alright, let's just hold it right there. Alright, RMS. Oh hell, it did 800 bird. God almighty. Son. 128.79 with the D-rail banking it. D-rail 29 hitting the 28.79 with 16 watts RMS is making this thing do 800 watts RMS. That's amazing. Because in between the 5 and the 10 is 750. So actually it's doing more, I think. Let me see. Oh, good God, that's 900 watts RMS. God almighty. Let's take a look at the peak real quick. About 1600 watts PEP. I think I got about 1800 on the other 6 pills, but that was on a different power supply. And let's see what that was dropping to. Where's the mic at? And did I even show the input reflect on this thing? See, I'm all messed up today. I don't even know if I showed the input. I know you wanted to see the input reflect and all that. It's tuned out great. Oh, yeah, it's 15.4 volts. So it still ain't putting a strong load on it. Alright, let's go ahead and get the top put on this thing. This thing's got the gain, man. 900 watts RMS. 900 watts RMS with a single 2879 with the dang DRL29 going into it. But that 2879 is probably putting out close to 60 to 70, maybe even more than that RMS. I didn't even look. I had to put a smaller slug in. Alright, I'm going to press pause. I might have to hook the bench radio back up so I can show you the input reflect, because I can't remember if I did or not. Alright, brother, I decided to go ahead and put the top on there and then show you the input reflect and everything. But here's your top and your screens that you wanted. Here's something else pretty cool that I wanted to show you real quick. Now, when most people put regulators on their fans, you know, the fans are only going to get 12 volts and that's it. But, you know, the fan, you want all the air you can get, you know, and the fan, 12 volt fans, they can handle 13, 14 volts, no problem. So I came up with a little idea of modifying the regulator circuit, modifying the regulator that I normally use, which is the 7812, but I use a little bit more expensive one because I was having problems with some of them STs and other ones I use blowing up on me on people. But just with a simple modification to them, I basically turned them into 13.5, 13.8, somewhere around there, voltage regulators. So now the fans, instead of getting just 12 volts, they get 13.5 to 13.8 volts regulated. Pretty cool, huh? Let me demonstrate that now. And by the way, yes, I had to install them LEDs in those fans myself. Those are Yate Loons, and they were green when I got them. And the only place I can still buy them from, high speed, are green LED fans. So I'm having to put my own LEDs in them. And these are some good, these are the fastest LED fans I have personally found. Alright. So I just wanted to show this to you real quick. I'm going to come over here and touch the output lead of the regulator that the fan is running on over here and show you the voltage. See? 13.6 volts. Regulated. I'll show you the second fan down here. I got to be real careful. You don't want to mess up. 13.6. So that's just a little idea I had. You know, looking around through some data sheets and saw a simple way to do that. And if anybody else wants to do that, it's very simple. I just use a 680 ohm resistor from the ground pin of the regulator to ground. So instead of taking that ground pin and grounding it directly to ground, put a 680 ohm resistor in between the ground pin and ground. And then I always use my .38 microfarad electrolytic on the input. If it's more than, I think it's 24 inches or 12 inches or something like that from the power source, and 1 to 2 104s on the output of the regulator. Make sure it never goes into self-oscillation. It's a clean DC voltage to the fans. That's what you want. So now these fans are spinning just a little bit faster and pushing a little bit more air than if I just had thrown the 12 volt regulator. So it's not no big deal, but every little bit counts, you know. All right, let's get the top on here. Let's see what this beautiful box looks like with the top on it. I'll be back. Goodness, man, it's one beautiful lamp. And I'm telling you, they call this candy paint for a reason. When you see what this, I mean, just looking at it right now on the video, I mean, it looks like a regular purple paint job. Maybe it even looks like it could be a powder coated paint job. I mean, yeah, it's shiny. You can see shine to it. You can see my bird meter right here in it from the clear coat and everything. But once you see this with your own two eyeballs and the sunlight and the way the different colors hit it, the way it goes dark purple to a little bit lighter purple, and when you see that candy on it, and it looks like literal candy that you just want to lick it. That's why they call it that candy. It's the sweetest feeling. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, sorry about that, y'all. I'm gonna probably bust a couple of goddamn mirrors and stuff. But take a look at this, man. This thing is. Is my battery going dead? There we go. Whew, this thing is beautiful. That's another thing. That looks like blue in the camera, but it looks like purple in my eyeballs. Woo, that's beautiful. How beautiful is that, Riley?
Awesome. It's beautiful.
How beautiful is that, Jackson? My sons just got home from
Is
their
that purple or
house.
blue, or is that violet?
That's purple.
Oh, what's violet?
Well, violet is purple. Silly Willy. Oh, that thing's beautiful.
Oh, violet's supposed to be blue.
Violet is purple.
Oh, violet is blue and purple.
Blue is
like-
blue and violet is purple.
What is that? That looks
Purple
like
box. It's actually UV. They call it UV. That's my son, by the way, y'all.
hello.
I'll be there in a little bit, bud.
Alright.
Gotta show the input and output reflect from my buddy. Alright, let's turn the lights back on. Gosh, this thing's pretty. Y'all know I don't brag. I ain't the one that painted this box. Shoot, I ain't the one that did the paint job. One of my very good buddies that owns a collision center that learned how to do that candy paint. He had to learn how to do candy paint. He had never done candy paint before I met him. Oh, this thing's about to go off. Only got a minute and a half left. All right. Input, output, reflect. I got a 5. I know you did ask, and I think I might have forgot with the 5 pill to show you the output reflect. We got a 5-watt slug. This is the dummy load again. Okay. 5-watt slug. Do-dia. Do-dia. Beautiful. Input. Do-dia. Do-dia. Like I said, right there about a 1/4 watt. That's a 10 watt on the input. That's a 5 watt on the output. Coming from the dummy load. Whew, this thing is beautiful, man. Yeah. I am seriously thinking about heading to Mexico with this one, bud. Just disappearing and just putting this thing under my arms and just running to Mexico. Woo! It's all about that candy, baby. Let me calm down. Hey, it don't matter how the amp looks. It honestly does not matter how the amp looks. If it don't work good, man, that joker can look. That box could be done in pure gold. But if there's a crappy amp inside that don't work worth a crap, what good is it to you except melting it down and getting money out of it, right? It's got to work good first. Then you can worry about making it look good. My buddy Stickman taught me that. God rest his soul. Think about him all the time. He is the one. He said pretty does not show. He said show does not go.